So I'm sure you've noticed that interest rates just keep on climbing. They started coming down, they're going back up again. And yet, for some reason, housing prices remain up there. Unlike the last time interest rates started climbing when, the prices of houses started going down, this time they're staying high. I mean, how in the heck did that happen? Even though more houses are starting to come on the market, we're going to have a little bit of a talk right now and kind of figure that out, see what's going on. So stick around, let's have a little bit of a conversation, figure out what's going on in housing this week. Real quick, if we haven't met before, my name is Eric. I'm a real estate agent here in the Las Vegas area. Don't want to take up too much of your time. If you're relocating, PCSing next 3 days, 30 days, even if it's 3 years from now, it's never too early to reach out to myself and my team. We're more than happy to help you out with your needs. My information is down below and in the pinned comments. Just go ahead and call, text, email, better yet, get on the calendar, and we can have a brief conversation. I am spending so much time on the road, and I want to make sure I get some good information out for you guys. I may as well just rename these talks I have in the car here, Carpool Confessions, Real Estate Edition. I think that's going to be probably the name. Maybe I'll work on it a little bit and actually come up with a name for what I'm doing here. Having something, maybe Carpool Conversations or something. That way I'm giving guys a little bit of value, and it's like a little bit straight from the heart. So anyway, this week I had somebody ask me a question. We had a really good conversation, and they had bought a house recently moved back to Las Vegas, and they asked me a question like, you think it was a good idea? What do you think about the real estate market? And you think it's going to keep going up? You think the market's about to crash? They really want to know my opinion. I gave them my opinions, and I'm going to impart them to you a little bit. And what sparked it wasn't just that conversation. This morning, as I'm going through reading the newspaper, believe it or not, I still read the newspaper, but not in the way that many do. I just read it online like most of you do. I get the digital version, but it's still thrown at my door every day. I don't read the one that's thrown at my door. I just let them throw it there because they throw it for free, and I read the digital version. But that's another longer story because they ticked me off one time. So I let them throw it at my door, and then I throw it away, or I give it to a friend and she actually lines her bird cage with them. Anyway, it was actually about folks, and right now we're at this almost a renaissance where people are fixing up their homes. And with these folks fixing up their homes, they're not putting them on the market. Now, right now you're probably going, aha, I'm seeing that record homes are coming on the market right now, which they are. A lot more people are listing their homes right now, but have you noticed interest rates are going up? People are listing their homes. Last time this happened, home prices started going down. We thought we were going to have a housing market crash. I thought we were going to have a housing market crash. It didn't happen. We had a housing market correction, and then we were back and we had record highs a few months back. Although we did have a little bit of a pullback. Ain't gonna lie about that. Had a little bit of a pullback. But if you think about what was behind all these people who are putting their houses on the market right now, let's be honest. Stock market, yeah, it didn't do too good. Not everybody's in the stock market, but people are just looking around and they're going like, what's going on? All these tariffs and everything. Of course, somebody's about to leave a message on my video and going, well, you just don't understand. The tariffs, just have to work it out and all these jobs are going to come back. Yeah, 5 or 6 years, but I'm talking about the here and now because I had another short video I put out about the tax on tips, and people from the other side of the political spectrum, they're going, no, you're not reading it because it's, tax on cash tips only. So that's not going to help anyone. I just don't like to get into the whole politics. It serves no one, period. Just getting into the housing and the folks who are not putting the housing on the market, and just looking at Las Vegas. So when I was talking to this individual, so I was like telling him stuff. It's like, we only have 5 to 8 years of land available in the valley to build homes, which is true. And that's and why it's 5 to 8 years? It's according to how big of lots they build. And there's other things that you have to consider, things that, it's like when you're talking to folks who really know, it's stuff, even as a real estate agent, you're not sitting around thinking about, oh yeah, great, we build houses. No, well, what about this road I'm driving on? You got to build roads. Well, I got to go to Smith's, I got to go to Albertsons, those are grocery stores, those of you who aren't living here. I got to have a gym to go to, I got to have schools. Those all take up space that could be used for housing. There's other things that have to be taken up. What about that office building that you have to go to for, I don't know, a job? Those take up spaces too. So people sit around and talk about housing. Well, half that space has to be taken up for commercial purposes and government purposes. Also, the soil that is, that you have around here isn't always conducive to build on. What about parks? You can't just have concrete out there for a road, for a building, for a house. You do want to take your kids out to touch some grass. Well, another thing you got to think about, you got the politicians and they're always talking about, oh, we're going to swap land and we're going to release land. Oh, that's great. Except for a lot of land around Vegas. Guess what? It's actually not conducive for building. If they release all of this land they're magically talking about to get your vote, do you know what that's going to do? It will give us another 2 years of land to build on. 2 years. Have you started seeing those articles about LA 2.0? Then he's going like, yeah, that's what I keep hearing about, this LA 2.0, where things are going to get as bad as Los Angeles at one point. I went like, yeah. And then he starts talking about, yeah, I just came back from California because he just moved back here. It's like, well, are there any new home developers in California? He's like, no, they aren't building new homes. Yeah, they're not building new homes in the LA area. That's what's going to happen eventually here in about 10 years. That's why long term, people keep moving here. So long term, housing is not going to crash long term. We may have another correction. Anyone who tells you that's not going to happen, they may possibly be lying. We may not have one, but there is a good chance we're going to have another correction. But long term, you're always going to get your money back. A person talked about how they bought a house back in '05. And then, they didn't lose as much money as people who bought houses in '07 and '08, but they lost money. But then we're like, yeah, if I kept that house, my goodness, I'd be up so much right now, which they would have. Somebody who bought their house in '08, they'd be up like crazy right now. And we keep talking about the '08 crash, you would be up so much right now. I mean, like a lot. So across the country right now, a lot of folks are just staying in place. They're starting to go like, you know what? I got this 3% interest rate, 3.5, 2.5. I'm gonna give that up for what is it? As of today, almost 7%, because interest rates went back up because of the trade war. And of course, that our debt rating just got downgraded by Moody's. So they're just going like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay in place for a bit. And they're starting to fix their houses up. Well, a lot of folks, when they fix their houses up, they're gonna just stay in place a little bit longer, which means those houses are not going to come back on the market. So that's one of the issues that we're gonna have for the next few years, of people fixing their houses up, not to sell, but to stay in. So you're looking at another 3 to 5 year problem of houses not coming on the market. And now you got to beg builders to save you by building you a house. And of course, you got folks who are then going to do the whole, oh, now no more houses are coming on, so I'm going to wait a little bit. And that's what just creates these problems. And the builders, and they start pulling back. And folks don't realize we are actually over 4 million, that's million houses behind where we're supposed to be right now to support our population. 4 million. On top of that, folks who build those houses, now I can't speak to any other part of the country. I can only speak to where I'm at in Las Vegas. If you go out to a new home build right now, all I hear is Tejano music and people speaking Spanish. I don't want to get into politics, but those folks, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's just say things are happening. So we're going to have an issue with that. Now we're talking about tariffs on things. Air conditioners aren't made in the U.S. Remember back about 2018 or so when Carrier, the last air conditioner manufacturer in the U.S., moved their production to, Mexico. So the air conditioners are made overseas. Your appliances are all made overseas. The electrical boxes are made overseas. The wood comes from Canada. All these things, that increases the cost of the house, makes it more hard to get the materials you need to build that house. And then the people who make the house, who saw the wood, everything else, they're not American. Now somebody's going to say, oh, we're going to have more jobs for people. Americans don't want to do those jobs. Even before any of this stuff started, we had a shortage of folks, even those who don't speak English, willing to do the job. As a matter of fact, here in Las Vegas, they just started up a trade high school, and it was supposed to be a boon for everything because trying to get kids just to want to enter the trades. Any of you guys ever seen that South Park episode from last year where the Candyman became like millionaires and billionaires because nobody could do anything anymore? Yeah, that's what it's becoming like. We got to a point where we're going, folks like, oh, well, I don't have to do it anymore. just get this handyman for 15 bucks an hour. Try to get a handyman lately? Let me tell you a story. I had a handyman I usually use. I'd have him come out like once a year, every 6 months, just to do like honey-do jobs around the house and pay him like, it started maybe 300 bucks for the day. Then it was 500 for the day. Then I had him do some work on a house I had listed. He was like, I want to be paid by the job. In other words, you do this, and this, charged me $1,250 for like 6 hours of work. That's the norm now. Trades make money. And folks are fixing up their houses, and they're going to have to pay a lot to get those houses fixed up, and they're not going to want to move. And then, a lot of homes here in Southern Nevada, especially Las Vegas, they're getting older. They don't have a lot of the modern amenities. And, the folks who don't want to get out of their house because, a house somebody paid $250,000, $300,000 is now worth $600,000, $700,000. It's nothing for them to put that $50,000, $75,000 into just to get that nicer house. And they don't have to move, and they get to keep their 2.5%, 3.5% interest rate. So why should they move unless they don't like the neighborhood, don't like their neighbors or something else? The majority of people who are selling their homes with these high interest rates are selling for the 3 Ds: death, diapers, and divorce, or a job transfer. Other than that, most people aren't selling. And now with them putting more money than in history into renovations, there's less of a chance of them selling. It's really going to impact the future sales. So even though a lot of people right now are just panicking and putting their houses on the market, this could be a good advantage for some folks who are out there with the panic. And you got all these people who are overpricing their homes. One of the things I'm lucky is I get to sit in rooms with folks who are like in the know, and they, and I get to listen to conversations. I'm supposed to be more part of the conversation. I'm kind of a quiet guy. It may not seem like it on some of these videos because I'm sitting here and I can talk. I'm really a very introverted person, more intellectual than anything else, supposedly. But when you just listen, it's like all these, sellers, they keep overpriced their market, thinking it's a market from 2 and 3 years ago. Then they get sorely surprised when people aren't out there giving them multiple offers, and then they have to lower their price, and they get just blown away. And that's what I keep talking about for buyers taking advantage. And I keep going back to this, and I think I've made at least 2 videos talking about the condo I have right now. It's probably going to expire in the next couple of weeks or so. And to be honest, I'm not even going to care on it because the seller, they've gotten to a point where they're just going to plain lose. Like, most people come to conclusion that they need to be in a better place. And like I've talked about, when the condo was listed, the HOA just kept going up and up and up. And even the seller was complaining. The condo fees keep going up and up and up. One of the reasons they wanted to list it because they kept going up and up and up. But all the offers that we're receiving were from investors. All the offers that were being made in the entire complex were from the exact same investors. Well, the condo owners they're too low, they're too low, they're too low, they're too low. Okay, well, now they've all hit the MLS and sold. We're still getting offers. Some of them from the same investors that made offers before. And now they're lower. And guess what? They're too low, they're too low, they're too low. Reason the investors are they're lower now is because investors don't pay full price anymore. They did at one point. When prices are going up $10,000 a month. And well, that was the price on the MLS. That's the new price. We don't pay that. Now they're lower. Well, sellers run across the same problem. Some of them are listing too high. Not some, most. Buyers take advantage of that. I talked about, as a matter of fact, we signed on Thursday for the house I talked about, where I gave an example. I went to the, I made up numbers. We signed on it on Thursday. We overprice, you will always get less as a seller, always. Except for during, that little period during COVID when you got more money, but not now, you don't get that. You can take advantage, but now you got sellers who are fixing up their houses. And if they put $75,000 into a house, they want that $75,000. No, they think the house is now worth $100,000 more. It doesn't always work that way. If you put $75,000, according to how you put it in there, it may only be worth $50,000 more. Sellers don't see it that way. The same sellers who will overprice their house by $50,000, if they put 75 in, they will overprice it by the 50 to begin with, and now they want another 100. So now it's 150 overpriced, when in reality, they've increased the price of the house by $50,000 in reality, but they want 150 more. So again, it's always better to get into a house and just improve it yourself. I know I'm kind of angling a little bit or going on, but this is like what the Carpool confessions are about, kind of talking to you about the market. Housing and making offers and everything is a science. It really is. It's a science that's based on a lot of emotions. And from both the buy side and the sell side, there's a lot of emotions involved. With the exception, and I would even say it was science during COVID. During COVID, you could list a house and it would sell. I've talked over and over again about that unicorn house that during COVID was one of the most beautiful houses I'd ever seen. And they just slightly had it overpriced and it never sold, but it was so gorgeous. I had a house, I came in, they were great folks, came from YouTube. I listed that house. They said, well, we're gonna put some money into it and we've already hired a contractor to come in. I looked around, why? All you gotta do is price this house right and I'll have people shooting each other on your front lawn to buy this house. It's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, they're gonna shoot each other on the lawn in the face to buy this house. It's a gorgeous house. Guess what? People were shooting themselves on the lawn that Saturday to buy that dang house. Sold it for $60,000 over list price. And the list price was on the higher end of what it should have been worth. And I saw it over and over again during COVID. Also saw over and over again when people were going, oh, my friend Jim, they sold their house for $30,000 over list price. So their house was $450, they got $484, let's list for $500. And we're surprised that their house didn't sell. Why didn't my house sell? Jim's house sold for $480. Their house was worth $450. They got $30,000 over and you just listed for $500. And you can't figure it out. It was still math and science then. If you listed for $480, you actually would have gotten $500, $510. Your agent told you that, but you wouldn't want to listen. Buyers do the same thing. Go for the ones that are overpriced and then wait until they've been on the market for 60 days. That's what I tell my buyers now. And yet every single time, the houses that are overpriced, I go look at the one that's 60 days. Oh, look at that. And even when they lower their price to where it's like in the market, where it's supposed to be, for some odd reason, I don't know why, some odd reason, we get it for less than it's worth. I told you in the last, 5 months, where they overpriced the house, I had my buyers go do you think we can get it for X? And I went, it's been on the market for this amount of time. It's actually underpriced right now. Let's go lower. And each time, twice in the last 5 months, we got it for lower. So for sellers, stop this, I want this amount, or I want to start here. Because when you start here, you want to try to stay here. And when your agent goes, we need to adjust to the market, can we just try one more week? You're going to keep saying that until you get much less. For the buyers, if you want to live certain places, start looking for places nobody else is buying. Even during COVID, I was getting my buyers in. I can only think of a few cases where my buyers were paying this. I don't think I had any buyer pay, with the exception of one. They never ended up buying a house because we had gotten up to $60,000 over. Most of my buyers were paying list price. Most. I did have a couple who paid over, but the one who they never found a house and we had gotten up to offering, I think we got up to 60 over. They were looking for the houses and wouldn't follow advice that everybody else wanted. And this was during the height of COVID, but they would offer 60 over and somebody else would offer 80 over. If you're looking for the house that everybody else is wanting, yeah. And these people are creating now houses that everyone's gonna want, but COVID's not coming back, hopefully. I don't think 2.5% interest rates are coming back. Actually, I hope those come back. But I don't think they will. Maybe 3.5% one day, because they were 3.25% before COVID happened and the economy was doing great then. I don't know. All I'm saying is you need to jig when other people are jagging. If you're looking for a perfect house and everybody else is looking for that same type of house, you need to be prepared. I'm not saying go look for a crack house, but look for things other people are not investing in. And it's probably going to be your best thing. If everybody else is looking for a perfect house, look for a not perfect house and go wait a minute, I can get this for $20,000 under market and then put $20,000 into it and save 50. Matter of fact, that family, they was I wanted to move into a perfect house. I don't want to have to do anything to it, but they were willing to offer $60,000 over. There is no place in this town you couldn't fix up a house for $40,000 to get exactly what they wanted. You didn't have to spend 40, it was more about 30. So always think that way and look at what the market is doing. So I hope y'all enjoyed that confession. And it's a confession from, just looking at what, even when the market is going down, there's people still out there fighting for houses. It's just that they're fighting for perfect houses. If you got a perfect house, when the market is falling, people are going to buy your house. When the market is going up, you got a perfect house, people are going to buy your house. It's just that you just don't overprice it. This is simple math. So if you're trying to upgrade your house, go ahead and upgrade it. Just be prepared to stay 5 years. When it comes time to sell, do the upgrades that are going to get you the most money. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to try to do, I think I got a little guide for upgrades. I just thought about it right now. I'm going to link it down below and I'll put it on my website. You'll just be able to go straight to it. You don't have to leave any kind of information or anything. And you'll be able to see what kind of things, because what people do is they'll do all of this crazy stuff, and they'll go and do this $100,000 upgrade to their kitchen that's only going to add $30,000 in value, and then they're sitting there, I put $100,000 in upgrades in my kitchen. So a $30,000 upgrade in your kitchen that got you $30,000 is a better upgrade, because guess what? That may sell your house in 30 minutes. Whereas that $100,000 upgrade could sell in 30 minutes, but you done lost $70,000. Always think about that. Hopefully this confession helped you guys. If you need anything, my information is down below. Call, text, emails also in the pinned comment. If you haven't met before, my name is Eric. Hopefully you keep coming back whenever I have this stuff. I was able to park. You didn't see him. My son was next to me. I dropped him off his thing here, and Saturday, so it's no Saturday things. So, you have to sit around anyway. I may as well got this done, and who knows, maybe I'll go to Costco and go, well, not Costco, Sam's Club, and go do some stuff. But I got this done. Parents, you know what I'm talking about. If you guys need anything, just reach out. All my military brothers and sisters, you know what I'm going to say. Alpha Mike Foxtrot. I know more than half of my audience are not military related. As a matter of fact, I think about 3/4 of you. We're going to keep them lights on for you. My team is more than glad to help you out. We are here to serve you. And that's what this one is about. It's just for me to lay back, talk to you a bit. This is there for me to do something besides listening to some music I don't even listen to anymore. I don't even look at TV anymore. So it's me imparting a little bit of knowledge in my military retirement age. Anyway, according to YouTube, this video is about to pop up based on your viewing habits. It's a video that you want to see from me, okay? Do a little bit of HBO, help a brother out, and watch this video for me, please.